Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to the Fresh Start Church 31 Days of Wisdom. My name is Sister Mary, and I'm a member at Fresh Start Church, located at 623 Oak Street in Ypsilanti, Michigan, led by Pastor Gregory Cannon, Jr., alongside First Lady Sharonda Cannon, also second pastor. This afternoon, I'm going to be coming from Proverbs chapter 22, verses 1 through 6. And it starts with, a good name is rather to be loving favor rather than silver and gold. The rich and poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward. He that doeth keep his soul shall be far from them. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now that was chapter 6, so I'm going to stop there. I do want to let it be known that I had read the whole chapter, but there's a couple of verses that stuck out to me, verse 1 and verse 6. I'll elaborate a little bit for you on verse 1. I'll read it again. This is chapter 22. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. I have experienced God's favor, and I understand why we would want favor more than we would want silver and gold, because the favor can flip the silver and gold. Favor is something that is unbecoming and unforeseen. You know when you've been favored when God does something and it's beyond what man could imagine. And I will give you a personal example of my husband and I getting ready to purchase a home, working with a banker, working with a loan officer. Long of it short, my husband was disabled at the time, but still brought in the most money, but he was not employed. I was still employed, but made much less than he did at the time. What happened was the bank officer indicated that she would have to take this to her supervisor. And, we would have to get special approval to take out the mortgage loan with the person making the less amount of money on the top, on the signing line. So what happened was she called me several times in that day where I was waiting to hear from her. First time she called, she said it went to her supervisor. That supervisor moved it to the manager. Next time she called, she said the manager went to the bank executive. And the next time she called, it had gone to the president of this banking organization for approval. And because God has favor, and it was worth more than the money we had, we've been approved for it, but we needed that favor. And did you know God did shine favor on us? The girl that we were working with, the banker, was just taken aback totally, she says. She says, I've never seen them do that. I've never heard of that. But myself, being a child of the God and learning and knowing that he does have favor, gave me proof of that favor that day. And with that, I would much rather have favor than silver and gold. I want to thank you this afternoon for joining and listening. I was going to read another chapter. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I also want to go to verse 6 in the same chapter 22 of Proverbs. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. That too, I have personally experienced. I'm glad that God chose to have me talk from experience, rather than trying to teach just from the word itself. Because experience is a better teacher, and experience is a fact, it's actual, it's true. And in another circumstance where I left my husband way back, and I had also not been attending church for some years, but during that absence from him, I talked with God. I let God lead me. God led me back to the church. And let me tell you something. Once I arrived back, I realized all that I had been missing. Sure, I went back to my husband after a year, but I let him know, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. And if it's unacceptable, he should let me know then. But long of it short, my husband did not even want me and really did not allow me to miss too many Sundays. Though he himself did not go, his belief was that God has shined a light on you. And as long as I'm with you, I feel like I'm getting a piece of that light. And if I miss too many Sundays, he would be questioning, when was the last time you went? So in reference to verse 6, bring up a child and he will not depart. We don't depart. We may walk away or be out of sight for a minimum amount of time. But I went back in that midst of that time and I recaptured what I had been missing to make that marriage work. And I'm no longer married today because we're widowed. I'm a widow. My husband deceased. But I did want to share with you the truth about what's written here in God's word. It's actually true. I've experienced it. And I'm sure there are other verses and chapters. I've read many other of these scriptures. But when I read these, they kind of stuck out. And he says, well, no, speak on what you know and what you've experienced. It's a lot more believable. So I hope you've enjoyed the reading. Sure, I was a little nervous. This is not what I do. But because God asked, I said, okay, I will do. I will read your word and I will explain and I will let those people know. Apparently, he wants somebody out in this audience to know, in this virtual audience, to know that what he has spoken and what is written in his holy word is true. So I want to thank you this afternoon for joining us for our reading for the 31 Days of Wisdom. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm signing off. Please have a blessed day.